You have stepped into Reader's Labyrinth. And here is your host, Frank Shepard.
Hey there, if you're watching this on YouTube, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button. It helps me reach a wider audience. Thanks for stopping by.
Welcome to the Labyrinth Monday Morning Drive to Work show. It is July 24th, 2023. There is a lot going on in Reader's Labyrinth, so let's get on with it. I'd like to add here that if you're watching this on YouTube, Reader's Labyrinth, the show, is available on Apple and Spotify podcast platforms. And that's another reason you aren't really seeing a regular video right now. I found it necessary to write out a script for the Morning Drive show, and to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure you would want to just watch me reading from a piece of paper. I'm still going to make this interesting by putting up some related topic picks for your enjoyment, however. On that note, if you are listening on the podcast, please click the show notes and give it a check out on the YouTube version of this show as well. And if you are listening to this show on Apple Podcast, hit the pause button right now. Scroll on down to the Write a Review and drop me a line or two about how much you enjoy the show. 5-star reviews are always welcome. Also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, you can help me in two really big ways. First, hit that pause button and head to the top of your screen and give me a 5-star rating. Next, hit follow. By leaving me a review on Apple Podcasts and a rating and follow on Spotify, this is how I hope to grow the podcast version of Reader's Labyrinth. Why do I want to grow the Labyrinth, you ask? Why, so I can sit back, quit my job, and collect the big bucks? Well, that would be totally awesome, and I'm not opposed to this scenario eventually playing out for me. The deeper reason is that I hope one day Reader's Labyrinth can be the destination authors go to for not only great conversations, but also a place where they can actually move books, sell product. I'd love it if my guest authors can make some money from a passion that they've poured so much of their heart and souls into. That's why every single interview I do, you'll find links in the show notes to my author's books. I'd like to add here that I don't make 1 red cent from any purchases you make. If you follow the links and you buy a book from a guest, 100% goes to these incredible authors. I will not now, nor in the future, ever even entertain the idea of making money off of any of my guests. This is also a good place to say that if you'd like to reach out to me, please do so by email. I'd love to hear from you. You can shoot me an email at asorrowfullife@gmail.com, and that's also in the show notes description as well. So, now that you've left me a review on Apple and a follow on Spotify, let's get on with So, now that you've left me that review on Apple and follow on Spotify, let's get on with the Morning Drive show. First off, our reviews. As of the release of this podcast, I am thrilled to announce 4, yes, you heard it right, 4 reviews of Reader's Labyrinth. I'd like to say that if you are a listener outside the United States and you did leave me a review, please shoot me an email. The reviews I'm about to read out, I can only see in the North American audience. The first review is by Sonico12, and it goes, quote, "Entertaining podcast, lots of knowledge." Why Sonico12? I couldn't agree more. I have my awesome guest to thank for anything knowledgeable. This much I can assure you. The second interview was written by Not Bam F. It reads, quote, "Frank has an unimpeachable voice for podcasting and is a brilliant interviewer who really lets his guests come across as stars, as he gets the most out of them. The show itself is well planned and very intelligent. Great stuff. Wow. I don't know what to say, Not BAMF, except a big fat thank you. The key to pulling this off, I found, is in actually reading my guests' work. By reading their book from cover to cover, I'm able to sit back and digest it, then come up with some hopefully interesting questions. Next up is a review by Linnea. Quote, "First, you have a great voice. I've really enjoyed listening. Keep going. I love all things writing and reading, so I am adding your podcast to my rotation. I'd like to say thank you, Nicole, and my listeners will appreciate a shout out I'm about to give your very awesome podcast here in a short few. I'm a little worried about the name of our next reviewer. This one is from Sad, Tired, and Disappointed. Quote, Reader's Labyrinth is a thoughtful and interesting podcast that interviews authors of great books. It's not an easy job to interview an author, but it shows that Frank has done his homework and asked great and respectful questions in his interviews. Give a listen, and you will be pleased. You may start doing some more reading." End quote. You know what? Upon second thought, who am I to say anything if someone sends me a review with a name such as Sad, Tired, and Disappointed? After all, I'm the guy with an email inviting you to email me at asorrowfullife@gmail.com. So, sad, tired, and disappointed, I thank you. With that being said, I am eager to add your review of Reader's Labyrinth version of the podcast up on the Apple Podcast. So please, if you've made it this far and still haven't hit that pause button, now is a good time. I'd love to hear from you personally, so also feel free to shoot me an email as well. Are you worried about where you are going to listen to your next awesome podcast episode while waiting for me to mix, cut, edit, and get my author interviews out? Well, I've got some suggestions for you. At the end of this show, I'd invite you to scroll on through the show notes and click the links and add these cool podcast shows to your regular lineup. The first up, Unpacking the Box Podcast with Linnea, aka The Wolf, the host and creator of an interview-based podcast. If you're looking for inspiration, positive thinking, entrepreneurs, relationship advice, and topics on comedy and creativity, look no further. Linnea is knowledgeable about her topic and motivated to bring the best out of any and every conversation. Her shows possess a ton of actionable info that you can put to work in your life as well. She can be found on Apple and Spotify. You can follow her on Twitter at Unpacking the Box. Now, you know how big storytelling is to Reader's Labyrinth is, right? Surely you recall the interview that I did with Stephen William Hanna a few months back, who, for quick reference, is the author of the incredible Interloper series. Well, when I invited him in that interview to tell me what his biggest influence was, he responded that it was the RPG, and that's role-playing game, Dungeons & Dragons. Why is that important, you ask? Well, let me introduce you to Session Zero Podcast. To say that the host, Ben and Mike, take a deep dive into Dungeons & Dragons and everything RPG related would be the understatement of the year. The level of research they put into their episodes belies the easy humor and razor-edge seriousness the two hosts generate from their good chemistry. Both are experienced players and masters ready to answer any question you may have. And you will find links to these podcasts in the show notes as well as their Twitter handles. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as well, so I encourage you to go to the show notes and give us all a follow and say hello. Now comes the part where I tell you about what's up and coming in the Labyrinth. If you are listening/watching this, then I just had an interview with author Yuval Kordov. He's the author of The Hand of God, a post-apocalyptic science fiction novel. I'm slowly discovering the horrible beauty of a brand new subgenre to a subgenre that is called incense punk. Wow, pretty cool if you ask me. The interview was conducted on Thursday of last week, and I'm planning on releasing it later this week, so please keep your phones handy and notifications turned on. Also, I am currently reading and working up some great questions for a novel entitled The Way of Unity. This is another incense punk book. This one is heavy on the mysticism. Oh my gosh, is all I have to say. It's taken the full power of my IQ to simply get through it. But I am blessed by the author, Sarah Ballstrup, who is nothing short of an incredible writer, and the tale that she is spinning has been living under my skin when I'm working during the day. What an absolute blast The Way of Unity has been. What you are looking for in Reader's Labyrinth, the bread and butter, history, philosophy, and what I found is a little sprinkle of religion and mysticism, yep, it's all here. So I am looking forward to reaching out to Sarah and inviting her formally to step into the labyrinth. On the near horizon, I am thinking September sometime. I plan on doing a roundtable. It will have Andrew Gilsmith, the author of Our Lady of the Artilects, Sarah Ballstrup of the aforementioned The Way of Unity, and Yuval Kordov. I figure, hey, these three authors seem to be blasting away in the Twitter sphere as far as incense punk goes, so let's set up a roundtable. Let's get some questions out, and let's just see what happens. It is my firm belief that these three authors are going to make it big one day, and I'd be flattered if they look back on this interview as a kind of turning point for them. Also, I'm in the process of working up a website for Reader's Labyrinth. And oh boy, what an experience this has been. Yes, I keep telling authors they need one, so it's only fair that I do the same and lead by example. It won't be a set it and forget it website. Nope. I am planning on having a great layout and able to provide some incredible content. And it's not going to be geared mainly towards authors, although they will certainly find something of value there. But I really would like people who are just looking for great books to come by and stop by. I'm planning on it having a daily blog post that's going to be relatively short with some actionable items. And later on, I'm going to be adding a weekly, yes, you heard that right, a weekly newsletter. The content of the newsletter is still kind of up in the air, but it's going to cover three main areas that I think will be of interest to you. First, it's going to have happenings in the indie publishing world. And right now, I am thinking about the AI monster that is hiding under everyone's beds. Up-and-coming authors I've reviewed and why you should buy their book and see for yourself. And some thoughts and insightful commentary that I managed to glean from these interviews. To be quite honest, whenever I interview someone as deep as Andrew Gilsmith, as thoughtful as Brian Penny, or as penetrating as Dr. Sharon Martin, and most especially Dr. Evans, I kind of come up short during the interview with comments. And the main thing is that I want to give them a chance to get their story out, to say what they have to say. But whenever I'm driving to work, whenever I'm driving home, if I have moments of silence to myself, I get these thoughts and feelings about what I was told. And unless I have that guest on repeatedly, like I have with Soren Narnia, I don't really get to have a sounding board to let them know the degree of which I've digested that conversation. So I'm hoping to flesh those thoughts out in a weekly newsletter to those who are interested, as well as some goodies. I'm going to have some links in there for some shows that are exclusively available if you subscribe to the newsletter. Again, none of that has actually happened yet. My very ambitious goal is to have this finished by the 1st of September. So, with that being said, I really, really appreciate you stopping by. And if you are a podcast listener, and if you would like for me to review your podcast, if you would like a shout out, please shoot me an email at aswordfullife@gmail.com or reach out to me on Twitter. And I would also like to say again, thank you, and I am looking forward to where Reader's Labyrinth is headed into the future. I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.